Every 4 years, the World Cup reveals something most people miss completely. The best team on paper does not always win. Not even close. History is full of moments where the most talented squad, the one with the biggest stars, the highest wages, the best statistics, went home early, while a team nobody expected lifted the trophy. And the strangest thing about this pattern, it shows up everywhere, in careers, in businesses, in personal goals, in relationships. The most talented person is not always the one who succeeds, and understanding why changes everything. The first lesson is one almost nobody wants to hear. Success is built before anyone is watching. When you watch the World Cup final, you see the goal, the celebration, the trophy, the tears, and it feels like that moment is where the story happened. It did not. By the time a team reaches the final, most of the important work is already done: months of preparation, years of development, thousands of training sessions nobody filmed, thousands of decisions nobody noticed. The final is just the receipt. The purchase happened long before. Psychologists call this outcome bias. We judge success by the visible result, the promotion, the transformation, the achievement, without seeing the invisible work that produced it. And this creates a dangerous illusion. Success looks sudden from the outside, so people expect it to feel sudden from the inside. It almost never does. Results arrive late, sometimes very late, which means people often quit during the exact phase where progress is actually happening. Think about learning a language. For months, nothing seems to change. Then one day you understand a conversation you would not have understood before. The breakthrough looks instant. The work behind it took a year. The World Cup teaches this quietly year after year. Winning moments are public, preparation is private, and preparation is where almost everything important happens. The second lesson surprises people even more. Adaptability often beats superiority. The strongest team on paper does not always win. And the reason is simple: tournaments are unpredictable, conditions change, opponents adjust, pressure arrives differently than expected, momentum shifts in ways no model can predict. The teams that succeed are rarely the ones who dominate, they are the ones who adapt. This pattern appears everywhere outside football too. Many people build plans as if life will cooperate, then reality happens. A project takes longer than expected, an opportunity disappears, a relationship changes, a market shifts, a responsibility appears that was not in the plan. And suddenly everything collapses, not because the goal was wrong, but because the method was treated as unchangeable. Researchers studying long-term success consistently find that psychological flexibility is one of the strongest predictors of who keeps moving forward. Not stubbornness, not perfection, flexibility, the ability to adjust without abandoning the destination. The best World Cup teams do not confuse commitment to the goal with commitment to a single method. They change tactics, they change formations, they change how they play depending on what each opponent needs. Sometimes success does not need a new destination, it needs a new route. The third lesson is the one most people get backwards. Momentum is more powerful than motivation. Most people assume that champions feel motivated all the time, that elite performers wake up every day energized and ready to go. That sustained effort requires sustained inspiration. It does not. Motivation fluctuates for everyone. Some mornings you want to work, some mornings you would rather do almost anything else. If consistent achievement depended entirely on consistent motivation, very few people would achieve anything significant. What carries people through is momentum, and momentum works differently from motivation. Momentum is created through action, even small action. A 10-minute workout, one page read, one difficult conversation had, one task completed. These tiny actions create psychological movement, and movement creates more movement. Behavioral scientists call this activation energy. Starting is usually harder than continuing. Once a behavior begins, resistance drops. The first step is almost always the hardest one. World Cup teams understand this instinctively. They do not think about winning the entire tournament, they focus on the next possession, the next pass, the next play, one small thing at a time. Many people fail because they keep waiting to feel motivated enough to begin. The successful ones begin first, and they let motivation catch up afterward. The fourth lesson sounds obvious, but almost nobody actually applies it. Confidence is the result, not the cause. Most people are waiting to feel confident before they act, before applying, before creating, before starting, before speaking up. They believe confidence is something you need to have before you can do the thing. It is not. Think about a young player making their World Cup debut. Do they feel completely confident? Almost certainly not. Most elite performers experience significant uncertainty. What separates them is that they act anyway. Confidence grows from evidence. You keep a promise to yourself. You build a skill, you survive a challenge, you do something difficult and come out the other side, and gradually, through accumulated experience, confidence develops. Psychologists prefer the term self-efficacy, your belief that you can handle a situation because you have handled difficult situations before. It is built through experience, not through positive thinking alone, not through affirmations, through action that produces evidence. The uncomfortable truth is that most people are waiting for a feeling that only arrives after taking action. Action first, evidence second, confidence third. The fifth lesson changes how you think about willpower. Discipline is not about being tough, it is about being smart. When people imagine discipline, they imagine extreme routines, unbreakable willpower, perfect habits maintained through sheer mental force. But elite performance research tells a different story. The most successful systems reduce friction, they make good behavior easier. They remove the need for willpower by building environments where the right choice is also the convenient choice. World Cup teams do not rely on players making thousands of perfect decisions every day through willpower alone. They build systems, training schedules, recovery protocols, nutrition plans, communication structures. The system carries much of the load. Environment influences behavior more than most people realize. If the right tools are visible, people use them. If distractions are removed, focus improves. If the desired behavior is convenient, people perform it more consistently. Discipline is not always about becoming stronger. Sometimes it is about becoming smarter, designing your environment to support your goals instead of relying on willpower to fight your environment. And then there is the lesson that almost nobody talks about seriously. Rest is part of performance. Most people focus on effort, almost nobody focuses on recovery. Yet recovery is where adaptation actually happens. Athletes do not become stronger during training, they become stronger while recovering from training. The training creates the stimulus, recovery creates the growth. The same principle applies everywhere. When people push constantly without rest, productivity declines, creativity drops, focus weakens, decision-making worsens, eventually burnout arrives. World Cup teams do not train at maximum intensity every waking hour, they recover strategically. Sleep, nutrition, physical treatment, mental recovery, all of it treated as part of performance, not a break from it. Rest is not the opposite of productivity, it is part of it. And finally, perhaps the most important lesson of all. Success is usually less dramatic than we imagine. Movies make success look exciting, social media makes it look sudden, reality usually looks like something much quieter. A little progress repeated often, that is it. Championship teams do not win because of one magical moment, they accumulate advantages. One training session, one adjustment, one improvement, one good decision, repeated over months and years. The biggest outcomes in any area of life tend to emerge from small actions repeated consistently over a longer time than most people are willing to wait. This is not exciting, it is not the story anyone wants to tell, but it is how success is actually built. The people who get there are not always the most talented. They are the ones who stayed in the game long enough for preparation, adaptation, momentum, and patience to compound. That is what the World Cup quietly teaches every 4 years. Not just how to win, how success is actually built. And once you see it in the football, in the preparation, in the consistency, in the quiet, unglamorous work, you start to see it everywhere.